Hi guys, welcome down to Lytham Golf Academy, and today I'm going to be testing the new TaylorMade M5 and M6 fairway woods. M5 and M6 fairway woods. I've just done reviews for drivers and already had a few of you guys asking me to review the fairway woods. So M5 and M6, very different. So we're going to have a little close-up look at the heads, then hit some shots. I'm going to go M5 first, then M6. I'm going to hit predominantly most of the shots from the floor because there's a clue in the name. They are fairway woods, but I'm going to hit shots off the floor and then I'm going to hit one off the tee, just so it gives me an idea and you guys an idea of how the club might play a little differently from a tee as opposed to off the floor. Right then, so TaylorMade M5. So we've got a titanium body and face. We've got a little adjustable weight in the back, 65 grams, which we can move to draw, neutral or fade. As we rotate over onto the top, we can see carbon crown, so ultra lightweight, really repositioning that weight. Much cleaner looking for me with the newer model as opposed to kind of M3. And as we move over onto the face, this is the big talking point this year, the first fairway wood with twist face technology. And as we see around the hosel, that adjustability plus or minus 2 degrees, changing loft and club face position. Right then guys, so like I said, I'm going to start with M5 first. I'm going to go 5 shots off the floor, 1 off the tee, and then I'm going to switch across onto M6, give you guys a bit of feedback as to kind of looks, if they feel different at all, and then ultimately we'll look at numbers for performance. But M5 first off, so I've actually taken this down, de-lofted it, opened the club face a little bit and got the weight a little bit more towards the toe. So off we go. So first shot, setting off a little bit right, just turning over, pretty decent for a 3-wood for me, just 266. Then setting off a little bit straighter, felt maybe a little bit lower off the face, carry down, and just off back a little. Again, setting off right, definitely more of a toe strike, turning over, but certainly chasing out that little bit further. And I do like this. I think it feels very solid. Ball flight wise, looks good. Kind of not. I was a bit worried taking loft off that my launch angle would be very low, but certainly for me, this still seems to launch the ball up in the air pretty decently. Again, setting off out to the right, but not coming back. Good solid strike though, and certainly a good distance for 3-wood. And I think my first reaction is I could definitely play this. You know, I think it seems pretty forgiving. You know, I'm not hitting these right out in the middle of the club every single time, but still feels pretty forgiving for the M5 version. Again, setting off straight, shaping a little bit more than I would like to see, and again, not too bad on length. And I do like that off the floor. Now, for me personally, I don't tend to drop down to fairway wood off the tee very often. If I feel drivers too much, I tend to drop down to kind of a long iron, but little low tee, almost like a fluffy lie almost. Still think relatively shallow face on the fairway wood, so I'm not worried about kind of hitting this very high on the face. It's off the tee, felt a little high and toey, setting off right, curving left, and just not ideal. So certainly left one of those out to the right, which kind of aiming right, trying to draw it back. Little bit of shape on a couple, but certainly felt maybe a bit more kind of even placebo effect for me. Felt that with the club face sitting open and with that weight there, I could commit to my swing a little bit more. But all in all, I thought M5 was great. So let's have a quick close-up on M6 and talk about technology, and then let's hit some shots and see how M6 stacks up against M5. Right, so M6 3-wood. We can see no adjustability on the sole of the club and the improved speed pocket giving a little bit more forgiveness on those off-centre hits. A glued hosel. Many of the tour players preferring that, not having that adjustability again that M5 has around the hosel. A more lightweight carbon crown this year, a little bit less silver. So again, like the drivers, a little bit more clean looking. And that's the story this year, twist face technology in the fairway woods. Right, so my first thing that I really like with M6 is a lot of glued fitted fairway woods for me still sit very toed in, which for somebody who has no problem hitting the ball left, not a big fan of how that tends to be. Now I did like the fact that M5, the way I'd adjusted it, sat a little bit open, so I'm not able to do this with this one. I would prefer to see it sat a little open, but I'll take sitting square. So again, I think it looks very similar, just apart from the hosel behind the golf ball. Off we go. So first one with M6, launching a little bit higher it looked like. Not shaping back, and pretty good for first effort. Again, maybe just felt a little towards the toe and definitely a lot further left and short. Yeah, so does feel different to M5, and maybe more than that, anything is that different shafts in those. So I've got the Atmos stiff in this, which is stock, and I have got the, what did we have in the other one? Had the Tensai orange. So certainly the shaft in the M5 a little bit heavier, which probably for me lends itself a little bit more. The negative to that glued fit is obviously in fitting for fairway wood, not going to have quite the options and interchangeable shafts. That one coming out a little bit low, certainly low off the face, and still shaping more than I would want to see. 244. And I would say probably looking at some of these shots, the good ones probably aren't much different between the two. So that one felt much more solid, kind of how I would like to hit 3-wood every time. And that one's long off the floor. Definitely prefer the fact that M5 sits a little bit open. I don't know whether some of my old reservations about 3-wood off the floor sneaking, even though I've got more loft on this one, I don't know why, I just don't seem to trust it quite as much as the other one. But one more off the floor. Again, that felt pretty good. Again, I think I'm going to get pretty good distance over 260, nearly 270. Yeah, not bad. So, and like I said, it's always interesting to see how it performs off the floor, off a tee, even though I personally wouldn't hit loads of shots off the tee. So again, still nice, shallow club face, so I've got no issues about where I'd be striking this. And that one, a bit low, a bit toey, turning over, and again, just that would be my bad one with 3-wood. Right then, so certainly from ball flight there, definitely more left I felt with this one. Didn't have the kind of one that I aimed out to the right and left out there with M5, but really tough for me to put my finger on it, but definitely feel-wise, and for what I felt I was going to do shot-wise, leaning towards M5. But let's look at numbers and see if what I think is actually true. So we can see the average ball speed with M5 at 149.4 and 149 with M6. So nothing really in that. Both pretty consistent, staying round about that average, even though there was one down at 142 that was a particularly low toe strike with the M6 3-wood. So interestingly, a little bit more spin with M5 than M6. Again, maybe just down to a little bit more towards the toe with M6, which again would have made up for those ones slightly left. But when you look at the averages, absolutely nothing in it. 149 against 149.4, 11.3 against 11.1, nearly 3,000 against nearly 3,200, 234 against 238 and 254, 257. So M5 3-wood just edging it slightly on numbers. Right then guys, so we've looked at the numbers and to be honest, almost nothing in it average wise. Now what I would say is when I was hitting the shots though, I felt a lot more consistent with M5. Now for me personally, I think that extra little bit of adjustability, the fact that I was able to maybe take a little bit of loft off, open the club face a touch, and maybe just get that weight a little bit more towards the toe, just so that the CG, just so the centre of mass kind of lines up with my tendency of strike being fractionally towards the toe. I felt M5 was a bit more playable. Now I know a lot of the guys on tour historically have gone for the glued fit because they prefer the look, but for me I probably still preferred the look of M5. It is a very personal thing though. You know, averages were very close, but I thought when you looked at the shots one by one, I thought M5 was a much more consistent result, apart from maybe the one that I left out to the right. But if you're in the market for fairway woods, it might not be a 3-wood. I mean, predominantly I have struggled with 3-wood off the floor, but I thought both of those worked pretty well. The key is get yourself down, get fitted. It might be that you're fitting to a particular number, so it might not be 3-wood. I mean, there's such a big selection in the fairway woods with lofts, and then the extra adjustability of the M5 that you can definitely get dialed in for something that'll be perfect for you. So guys, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, like and share it. Comment below, I'll get back to as many of you as I can. If you don't already, click the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here in the future. Stay in contact.